What is up, fight fans? We are back again, and the classic lineup is here. The big three, ladies and gentlemen. This is the MMA Mark, of course, here with TMC MMA and TMA Mark Berry as well. UFC 320, the rematch that we all have been waiting for in the light heavyweight division. Magomed Ankalaev, the newly crowned king, looking to defend his title for a successful first time against the former champion, one of the most dominant champions in recent memory, Alex Poatan Pereira. And of course, co-main event is just as exciting as Merab Dvalishvili looking for his third defense, I believe, against the Sandman himself, Corey Sandhagen. And boys, what a packed up card this is. Josh Emmett and Yusuf Zalal, Yuri Prohaska and Khalil Roundtree Jr., just an absolute war. Joe Pfeiffer's on the card. And thankfully, Ateba Gaultier is still on the card, so I'm very happy about that. But a lot of notable names for this card, guys, and really just has all the makings of being one of the best cards for 2025.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of, see, especially early on in the prelims, a lot of good names that you can see in these next coming years as people who are really going to be like an impact factors in their division. So I'm pretty excited for this one.
Yeah, man, this is a really good card. I think Barry touched on it. We got guys like Patchy Mix on the prelims, so
Yeah.
main card is stacked. I can't wait.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Having someone like Patchy Mitts, which I mean, he shouldn't be on the main card, but I mean, still, when you have someone like Patchy Mitts on the prelims, I mean, I feel like that's still a good sign to say that this is a pretty packed up card. There are no Bo Nichols in this situation. There are no Ozzy Diaz's. He was supposed to be on this card, of course, but unfortunately pulled out due to injury. But like I said before, thankfully we still have a Taba on the card. But we're gonna make our way, as always. Firstly, uh, at the bottom of the prelims for the first fight, all the way up to the main event, the double header right here, of course, main and co-main event. And first fight, my first bathroom break, honestly. Veronica Hardy taking on Brogan Walker. Not saying that this is a bad fight, but I mean, if you are someone, if you are an MMA fan and you say, I'm only watching this card for the Brogan Walker fight, you might have to kill yourself. And I mean that absolutely. You know, I'm not I'm not trying to be funny, but Brogan Walker, I believe, is hunting for her first UFC victory. I know that she was on The Ultimate Fighter. I believe she lost to Killer Miller, who I believe we will see in the next few weeks. I believe. Um, And Veronica Hardy, of course, is the big favorite for this fight. I believe like minus 700. So really just goes to show you what people think about this fight and what the bettors think about this fight. I think I'm the same exact way about this fight. I think Veronica Hardy should win this, and I believe it will be by decision. But I mean, let's start with you, Barry. What do you think about this fight, my brother?
Yeah, nothing too much to say that's going to be shocking about this fight. Brogan Walker obviously hasn't won in the UFC yet. She doesn't really have. She's honestly, in my opinion, probably not UFC caliber at this point in her
Right.
career. Right off the 2 year layoff, and her striking just isn't really complete, in my opinion. And then her wrestling is okay. Once that first layer of takedown defense does fail her, she does get to the ground. She hasn't really shown much on the ground, and that's just going to be recipe for success for Hardy, right? Because she is
Yeah.
UFC level. She has beat gals who have won in the UFC. And, she's proven herself time and time again, right? She has good striking and good jiu-jitsu. So, I mean, obviously not going to spend crazy amount of time on this. Hardy should win. But I will say submission for Veronica Hardy, you might get that at a good price. And I think there's a better chance of that happening than people realize.
Yeah, I kind of looked at that too, man. I was like, I think that's like plus 650 right now, which is actually, let me see, more of a risk than Veronica Hardy to actually win by knockout, which is plus 550. So still neck and neck technically, but I think there's a better chance for Veronica to actually win by submission, better than a knockout or TKO. TMZ. Veronica Hardy, Brogan Walker, man. I mean, what can we even say about this fight?
Yeah, it's crazy what you said at the beginning because I absolutely love this fight, bro. I mean, Veronica Hardy, for some reason, I just like watching her fight, but I can't say the same for Brogan Walker. I mean, same for what Barry was saying. I don't think she should be in the UFC. I don't think she hasn't fought in about 2 years, so
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised seeing this matchup. But yeah, in terms of betting, I like maybe Hardy by decision. If you want to get something maybe plus odds, I could see a sub from Hardy just because Walker gets taken down pretty easily and Hardy has some solid jujitsu, so I like Hardy for sure in this one.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, clean sweep for all three of us. We really just think this is going to be the same exact way. Veronica Hardy, either by submission or decision. I'm leaning more into a decision, but I do see what both of y'all are saying. Walker definitely gets taken down easily. I don't think she's UFC caliber. She does have a win against Miranda Maverick, but that has been years ago. And with a layoff like this, I mean, it's no what's the word for it? I mean, it's really no. There's not really even much to really say about Brogan Walker. It's no surprise that she is a heavy underdog as she is. But we're not really going to waste too much time on this one. We definitely got Veronica Hardy. And this fight is a lot more interesting, in my opinion. The solid favorite in this fight, Austin Vanderford, taking on Ramiz Brahimaj. Of course, with Brahimaj, we have seen him a lot recently, actually on a two-fight winning streak, I believe. His last fight against Billy Ray Goff. What a round one guillotine that was. What a post-fight interview that was as well for Ramiz. And for Austin Vanderford, 13-2, second UFC appearance. He has only lost to some of the best guys in the entire division. Of course, Aaron Jeffrey before, who looked like a world beater in that fight, and of course before that, Gegard Mousasi. So this is an interesting fight. I think it's a lot more closer than what the odds are saying, guys, and it, it's really a great fight. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It's a great fight. I'm not sure who I have on this one yet, but what do you guys think about this fight? Give me some details.
Yeah, for sure. I completely agree with you on the odds for this fight. When I saw Vanderford sitting at minus 300, I kind of had to take a double take for a second.
Yeah,
Seeing I was trying to look at a different fight because I just don't know how you could kind of come to the conclusion that he should be that big of a favorite, right? I understand he does have the wrestling, he does have better cardio than Brahimaj, at least for what we've seen. Brahimaj going the distance against guys like Temba Garimbo and Payne Max Griffin. So we have seen that cardio kind of fade in the past, but he's looked really good his last two fights. The striking has looked a lot better. Obviously Mickey Gall, I know he's Mickey Gall, but the striking
yeah,
really did look improved in that fight. And in the Billy Ray Goff fight, was able to kind of put it all together, use the striking, force Billy Ray Goff to shoot the takedown, ultimately set up that guillotine. So as long as Ramirez isn't trying to search for subs as he's been in the past. Old Ramiz was kind of, laying on his back, trying to get those guard submissions. As long as he doesn't do that, I honestly think he has a really good shot at winning this fight. He should be the more well-rounded fighter. He's younger, he's faster on the feet, and he's more dynamic of a striker on the feet. Vanderford, while he does have good basics on the feet, he's not doesn't really have a fully fleshed out striking game. And as long as I think he has more finishing upside in this fight as well. So as long as he minds his cardio and doesn't go chasing for submissions, I think he has a really good shot. I'm actually going to pick him to win this fight by knockout. But as I said, if this fight does go late and Ramiz does start slowing down, I wouldn't be surprised, and it might be a decent time to bet Vanderford when his line goes down a little bit.
absolutely, man. I agree with you there. And I mean, look at that. Ramiz Brahimaj just to win by knockout is heavy, heavy, plus 1200, even though it seems like it is fairly possible. I mean, we have seen Austin Vanderford finished in both fights, I believe. I'm not sure about the Gegard Mousasi. Yeah, yeah. So both guys, Aaron Jeffery and Gegard Mousasi, has been able to finish him in the very first round. And, with the TMZ, with the bombs that Ramiz Brahimaj has, it really does seem like it's very possible. Not sure what's up with the plus 1200 on that one. Should be shorter, but I'm not complaining. It's still a great fight. It really just seems like it comes down to if Vanderford can actually get Ramiz Brahimaj on the ground.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. In terms of odds, I think the reason he's such a big favorite is because of that Ramiz versus Thimba fight. And Ramiz just looked terrible, bro. I mean, like you guys said, he looked good lately. The last two fights, he fought Mickey Gall, and the last one was Billy Ray Golf, both
Yeah.
knockouts. But I mean, when I look at Vanderford, I just see a better version of Ramiz. Honestly, stronger. I think on the feet he'll look a little bit more crisper. He's at ATT with all those good guys. And in terms of wrestling, grappling, I think he's gonna be more aggressive too. So the best Ramirez we're gonna get is in round one. If he lasts that first round, he's gonna go downhill after that. So I'm gonna go with the guy I know who has better cardio and can last all 15 minutes. I'm gonna go with Vanderford by decision.
And that's honestly really fair. I don't have an official prediction yet for this fight. I do want to wait a little bit, maybe on that. Maybe at the end, I'll probably have an answer for that. But it is a phenomenal fight, as I keep mentioning. Ramiz Brahimaj has been on a roll, but you do have to look at, the competitors that he has fought. Actually, Mickey Gall is not the best win, and Billy Ray Goff. I know a lot of people were hyping him up to be a really good fighter and stuff, but you got to think he was 0-1 at the time against Trey Waters. He did have a great fight with Trey, but I mean, you're 0-1 in the UFC. There was not really much going there, and I believe he was the underdog for that fight too. Ramiz was against Billy Ray Goff. But
Yeah, he was a big underdog.
yeah, that's kind of interesting to see. But I like this fight a lot. Cannot wait for it. And honestly, after Veronica Hardy and Walker guys, it just seems like it's going to be banger after banger. Cannot wait. But this fight right here, I was looking at it and I thought to myself, you know, maybe Veretennikov has at least a decent chance. I know Punahele Soriano, he's on a streak just like Ramiz. And I feel like the big comparison with both win streaks is just the fact that it's probably people that are not really all that good. I mean, with Punahele, I would say in comparison, Ramiz's Mickey Gall is like Punahele's Miguel Baeza. Someone that was on a pretty devastating losing streak. At the time, I believe he was free and free at the UFC at that time as well. But it just, I don't know. I wasn't really impressed with that performance. I was more impressed by the fact that Baeza was actually surviving the ground and pound that Punahele was actually putting out. But at the same time, it's not really tough to say that Nikolai Veretennikov has not looked impressive because he hasn't. He has not looked impressive in the UFC. He's coming off a split decision victory against Francisco Prado, and a lot of people did not think he won that fight. I was glad that he did because I was on a winning streak for my predictions, but it's going to be tough to say. I feel like this fight also really comes down to if Soriano can get the takedown, which guys, I honestly think he will get absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. I get some people are kind of skeptical on Soriano. I know when he was up at middleweight, he was having trouble staying consistent, right? And when he had guys that were able to defend the takedowns, even get some of their own, he was really starting to struggle in those matchups against guys like Dustin Stoltzfus, who are finishers on the ground. But
Yeah.
I just really don't think Nikolai is a UFC caliber opponent, in my opinion, right? And people are going to say, oh, he went close to Michael Morales on Contender, and he had a split with Danny Barlow, but I just that those you just can't equate that to the kind of fighting style that Soriano is going to bring in this fight. It's kind of a nightmare for Veretennikov, right? We've seen him struggle with the takedowns constantly in his UFC career. Right? He's getting taken down by Francisco Prado, who's basically a blown up lightweight and he was getting mauled on the ground by Vanderford. So as long as Soriano's just able to land at least one takedown, he's going to have that ground and pound going from the start. And even if he isn't somehow able to get the takedowns, right? We've seen Baratenikov have trouble defending strikes. He's a tough guy, but he gets hit a lot in these fights. And Soriano, obviously, he showed his last fight. One punch is all it's going to take to knock someone out. So, as long as he's staying close to Baratenikov, doesn't somehow gas, which I don't think he will. His gas tank looks better at welterweight.
Yeah.
As long as he's staying close, landing with power early and often, I think he can get Baratenikov out of there. If he doesn't, I think he can rely on that wrestling and win a decision. So I got Soriano by finish here, but decision could be worth it in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you there, man, and that's actually one of my picks right there as well. Punahele Soriano to win by decision. I think you know you brought up the Contender Series fight that he had against Michael Morales, and in my opinion, that just shows how much survivability that Veretenikov has, which is why I'm leaning more over a decision victory for Soriano more than a finish. I feel like there is some recency bias right there with Urals Medic. I believe he fought Urals Medic, either Uros or Dusko. I want to say Uros. I want to say
Yeah,
Uros.
yeah, with Eros, yeah.
Yeah,
It was Madness.
actually, I'm gonna check real quick because I mean this is my fucking computer. But I mean, yeah, Urals Medic. So I was right the first time. But It's it's interesting, but I do have Soriano by decision. I think Nikolai has very good like I said, survivability. Obviously went to a decision with Danny Barlow, went to a decision with Michael Morales. So I mean, he's always in there at least. He always has a chance. But, I think I'm like you, Mark. I'm probably just going to say that Punahele gets to take down, and that should be that. I do think he will grind him out. TMZ, what do you think about this fight, my brother?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna be honest, this dude Nikolai, I'm not really a big fan of him. The Prado fight, his last time out, I bet Prado money line, and I was
Ah,
convinced when the decision came. I knew it might be a split, close fight, but I thought Prado went easy, and then them give it to Nikolai is crazy. So
I
coming
feel
back to
bad
the
for you,
well,
brother.
I'm gonna go with Puna for sure, like you guys are, and I'm gonna go with Puna by knockout, just because anywhere if it's on the ground, I really like Puna, but on the feet, I just think he has a power advantage. He's a be a little bit more cleaner, and I don't think Nikolai is all that technical. So I'm gonna go with Puna, maybe round two knockout.
Clean sweep once again, this time for Soriano and Veretenikov. And this one right here, guys, this is good. This is really good. Patchy Mitts and Whiplash, I believe how you say his name. Someone help me out here because this is the first time I'm going to be seeing him.
Yeah, Jacob Wicklex, I believe.
Yeah, I
Wicklax.
know Anik said it a little bit differently, but I'm gonna probably look at his the weigh-in show probably for the pronunciation probably after this fight.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm just glad I'm not the only one. Um, but this is a great fight. I believe Wicklash actually had I believe he's the former KSW champion. I want to say either KSW or Octagon. Yeah, KSW. So he was a former champ in that promotion, and he has not fought in about a year now. So very intrigued to see what he does. Patchy Mitts is Patchy Mitts. Obviously when he came into the UFC, got his debut against Mario Bautista, was a solid favorite for the fight. He said that he was a journeyman, and now ever since he lost to Mario Bautista, he says, this is a guy on a 7-fight, 8-fight winning streak. I thought that's funny, but definitely not taking on a journeyman if I'm just going by his own words. Taking on a prospect and a debutant challenger. Um, Tough fight. I do think it goes to a decision at least. And I believe it will very much be competitive if it goes to the later rounds, which I think it will. I believe Patchy will have an advantage. But it's just after that last fight, guys, it just you really don't know what you're going to get with Patchy Mitts. Um, are we going to get this guy that's just frozen waiting for a counter, or are we actually going to get some excitement from this guy? Are we actually going to get, a bit of Mitts of everything, striking, grappling, everything, aggression? Will we actually see it this time with Patchy Mitts, Barry?
Yeah, I think this is just a far better matchup for Patchy than Mario. I know people, and they honestly have a decent reason to. People are going to trash Patchy Mix. It was a horrible debut. He looked frozen in
Yeah,
there, which he did. But you got to think, it was against Mario Batista, and he never really gave himself a chance to win that fight, right? There was a good chance he probably was worse than Patchy just in terms of skills, but he kind of was in there and he just didn't try to shoot for takedowns, didn't try to try to grapple. Honestly, he could be on a two-fight losing streak because people, keep saying that fight against Magomed Magomedov on the PFL, that fight could have been a loss for him. And speaking of Magomed, he just got slept bad a couple minutes ago by Sergio Pettis.
really.
But
Oh
yeah, he just
shit.
got spinning elbow KO'd bad. But as for Jacob, I think he's gonna, kind of lead into the advantages of Patchy Mix in this fight, right? Patchy, everyone knows how good his grappling is, and I think Jacob, also just kind of a bit of a one-dimensional grappler in my opinion. No knockout wins for him. The striking isn't really developed yet so far, in my opinion, and I just think Patchy's overall just crisper overall fighter in my opinion. Again, he does have the 5 round experience against guys like Magomedov, Kyoji Horiguchi. So if this fight extends, I have to imagine Mix is going to be the sharper striker and be able to kind of find those takedowns and those big scrambles when he needs to. So give me Mix, and I think people are kind of catching on to Mix because he went from around -200 to -300 pretty quick this week.
Yeah, and TMZ, I really do have to ask you, Gordon, my friend. You know, just due to the fact that Jacob is, with what Mark Barry is saying, a one-dimensional fighter. This is the first time that I'm going to be seeing Jacob. Um, but knowing that he is primarily a grappler, and I know Patchy is primarily a grappler as well, but he's much more well-rounded. Do we actually see Patchy Mitts take a risk and actually go for the grappling exchanges against Jacob?
I I definitely think we do for sure. I think I think we're gonna see a vintage Patrick Mix performance this fight. I mean, I think Barry alluded to it. He fought Mario Batista last fight. I think the main thing was us hyping up Patrick Mix a little too much and not giving Mario enough credit, being number 6 in the world. So in
Yeah.
this fight, definitely a big step down. Even I think in the grappling, even though Jacob is primarily a grappler, I think Patchy, if he gets his back, he's gonna cause serious problems. So I like Patchy by finish. I think out of everybody on this card, he has the most pressure on him. So I like Patchy to get it done between KO decision or sub. I'll go with sub. I think he'll get the takedown, he'll dominate, and maybe catch him in a rear naked choke around round 2, round 3.
Honestly, that's pretty fair. Um, I'm also just going to go ahead and go for Patchy as well. Now, obviously, like I said, I have not seen Jacob, but I mean, I have seen Patchy Mitts plenty of times, and I really want to believe that that Mario Bautista fight was just, dear, really just due to the pressure and the height that he was getting and stuff like that. And it really just seemed like that he was starting to buy into it. Like I said before, he said Mario Bautista was just this journeyman. He was a bum. He was not on his level and stuff. That he was the best bantamweight in the world. So I feel like he got humbled in that fight, and now it's back to reality. So I feel like if he really does want to show that he is the best bantamweight in the world, which he probably still believes that he is, he's probably going to be a lot more aggressive, in my opinion, and he's going to look and try to finish the fight a lot more. than his debut in the UFC. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Patchy Mitts as well, and we'll just have to see what happens. But I'm very intrigued, and I'm very excited to see Jacob for the first time. And this fight right here, I mean, I know you guys are probably not too excited about it. Maybe Gordon, because he's always
Yeah,
excited for the
you
women's
already know
MMA
I am.
fights. Yeah,
You know.
he's always excited. I mean, he saw Big Titties Rendon the other week. I mean, he was real excited to see that. Um, but Macy Chasson, who I believe actually missed weight, taking on Yana Santos. Um, Not much to say here. I know Chasson is coming off of a loss, I believe, to Caitlin Vieira. And with Yana Santos, she's actually on a win streak right now, but you got to put some context on there. Chelsea Chandler and Misha Tate, which I mean, no. I just, no. Especially 2025 Misha Tate. I just don't think that really works all too well. Or 2024, however it is. But I do think this goes to a decision. There's not much that I can say here. I'm always a big fan of Macy Chasson. I do think that she will utilize the elbows. It was a weird performance last time against Vieira. I think she I think this is really just a step down in competition for her. And I'm not, trying to underestimate Yana Santos because, she has been able to do some interesting things. She is a former title challenger, as weird as that fight was with Chris Cyborg and how undeserving that was. It's Yana Santos is always there, and she can definitely cause something and definitely cause an upset. Uh, but honestly, guys, I got Macy Chasson for this fight, and I feel like she should be more of a favorite than what she already is at minus 190. I feel like that should be at least in the 200s, but it's pretty close. I think Macy Chasson wins this by decision.
Yeah, 100%. And you were right. She did miss weight by, I believe, a pound and a half,
Yeah.
just a few hours ago. So not a great look, especially since her last fight was at featherweight. So again, not a great look. But yeah, she should have all the skills needed to uh, fend off Yana Santos and her kind of clutch game. And while the story is out on how to beat Macy Chasson, right? Just get close, avoid the length on the feet, and then just kind of take her down and just hold her down because she's shown that when she does get taken down, she doesn't really have a great get up game. But she does perform well against these I wouldn't say lower level, but the step down on competition. She's always
Yeah.
looked pretty good in those fights, right? It's really when she gets those steps up in competition, right? Irina Aldana and Ketlin Vieira, those ladies entrenched in the top five, where she's really kind of struggled in her career. But I think she should be good here. Obviously, she's developed her striking into somewhat of a decent threat in the UFC, and I think just with that alone, she should be able to keep Yana Santos off her. Santos was kind of getting hit a little bit by Misha Tate, which I don't really like to see. So, yeah, as long as Macy sticks to her game, defensive takedowns, and just kind of plays that range game, which she's gonna have advantage against everyone in this weight class, she should be good in this fight. So I got her by decision, but again with the weight miss, I'd be a little bit careful.
TMZ, you are the king of women's MMA, my friend. What do you think about this one?
Man, that's the title I wish I can hold, but I don't think I deserve it yet.
Not
But
yet, huh?
yeah, not yet. Maybe let's see how I do on this card, and maybe we can talk about it. Um, so it's interesting, right? Because on that Ketlin fight, Macy was basically bullied around the octagon a lot. But if you look at comparisons in size, Kellen is a physically bigger girl than the Yana is. I believe Kellen's around 5'8", Yana is 5'6", and Macy's a tall girl. I mean, we saw she missed weight today. She's around 5'10", and that's very tall for a woman. And she weighed in around 147. And even though she did miss weight, could work in her advantage. I know her game plan is pretty much the same every fight. Push in, maybe hold on to you and get a takedown because her jiu-jitsu is really good. And even though Santos is really high volume, she can get taken down pretty often. So, like Barry said, it's a great bounce back fight for her. I think if she does lose, then it'll just be because it's a strictly stand up fight and Yana is just more busy. So, yeah, I'm going to go Macy by decision on this one.
Now, do you guys see any chance of this fight actually being a finish? Because I think it's actually one of those fights at the higher odds to obviously not get a finish, other than maybe Veronica Hardy and Brogan Walker and Basharat and Gutierrez as well.
I don't really see a path to finish. The only way I think this can end by finish is if she has to maybe find something in a scramble. But even then, Santos is decent on the ground, so I don't really think this can end a finish.
Yeah, I agree with Barry. I think the Hardy Walker fight has a higher chance than been getting a finish in this one, just because the only person I see finishing the fight is Macy. It'll be by submission. So yeah, I'll probably go with not a finish in this one.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Because I really don't see a finish either. I got Macy by decision, just like you guys. But this fight, it's great. Let me tell you. Willie Cat, Daniel Santos is back. Um, but he's taking on Zombie Jr., which I absolutely love Zombie Jr. That debut that he had that only lasted for about 34 seconds against Jekka. It was awesome. Let me tell you. And what a way to make your debut, right? Just to have a highlight reel finish like that. This was supposed to be at featherweight, I believe. However, Daniel Santos once again having weight problems, guys, and it's really not a good look. I know we have not seen Zombie Jr. at 155. I do think Daniel Santos will still be the bigger guy overall, but I mean, with plus money on the table and the fact that Daniel Santos asked for this catchweight fight himself, I'm not very confident on Willie Cat anymore, and I was originally going to pick Daniel Santos for this fight. Now I'm going to pick Zombie Jr., and I actually have him by decision in this fight. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, obviously the weight miss is, or it's not a miss technically, but it is a little bit of a concern. Honestly, I feel like that's kind of a trend recently, is fighters missing weight in multiple weight classes. I feel like it's been happening for a couple weeks in a row now, but
Yeah.
just strictly fighter against fighter, if you take the weight equation out of it, I do think Daniel Santos holds quite a few advantages against Ju Sung Yu in this fight. And I do get people who are picking Ju Sung Yu, right? Because he is a very dynamic striker, very flashy, but a lot of power too, right? And I think the problem with Ju Sung Yu though is he hasn't really been tested yet, right? And I know
Yeah.
that's used a lot for people coming out of like the regionals and stuff like that, but he hasn't really fought a decent fighter yet in his 9-fight career, right? And Jekka Saragi, was the UFC fighter, but he wasn't really a UFC fighter, right? He lost to Weston Wilson and Jubilee, so I don't really think he was a UFC fighter.
Yeah.
And when you
That's
have a
insane.
guy like Santos who has legitimate skills in the UFC, right? Great boxer. One of the I talked about this before the broadcast. One of the better boxers at Shoot the Box. But we saw in that fight against Jung Lee, he can also revert to the takedowns if he needs it. He's
Yeah.
got really good wrestling in his back pocket, and obviously training at Shoot the Box, he's gonna have great BJJ too. So I really do think if he gets his weight under control, he's gonna be the real package at featherweight. Again, obviously that is a big if, but I think this is a little bit too much too soon for Ju Sung Yu in his UFC career. I think Daniel Santos is legit. I got him winning by decision.
Team Z, what about you, my friend? It seems like an interesting fight, and when it comes to prospects, it's probably the best prospect fight that we have on the card.
Yeah, definitely agree. Probably best prospect fight we have on the card. I mean, I think this is a situation where, again, we're probably overvaluing a prospect. Like Barry talked about, you knocked out Sergey in what 30 seconds, but that was kind of one of those fights where he should have done that.
Yeah.
He was supposed to knock out, like we all expected him to beat him. I'm pretty sure, and we didn't rate Jekka that high. So, but in a fight like this against Santos, and like you said, Santos missed weight earlier. That could go to his advantage tomorrow. Now that's at 155. So At first I was leaning towards you, but just digging into his resume and the guys he's fought, I'm gonna go with Santos in this fight only because I'm more comfortable with Santos if the fight hits the ground and if the fight gets extended to rounds 2, round 3. I like Santos in this fight.
Yeah, and I know I keep saying it, but it is fair, but I don't know, maybe it's just the fact that I absolutely love South Korean fighters. One of my favorites, of course, has always been the Korean Zombie. Now you got Zombie Jr. right here, so I'm always going to be wishing him the absolute best and hope he wins, but obviously with the weight miss now, or well, just the weight issues in general from the other side, I have more of a reason to root for Zombie Jr. in this fight. So I am going to go for Sang Yu, like I said, by decision. It's actually one of my free leg parlays. We have seen you um, go to a decision before. In fact, I think that's actually the way that he has won most of his fights is actually by decision. It might be tied with knockouts. But just to go by a decision is plus 275, which I feel like is very possible for someone like Sang Yu. And who knows? I just really like it a lot. I really do. But Barry, I don't know if you said you were going for Santos or not. I think you did, but I just want to make sure real quick.
Yeah, I'm going Santos in this fight.
That's fair. One of the Basharat brothers is back, and let me tell you, it's not the one that got knocked out by Ricky Simone. Farid Basharat taking on Chris Gutierrez. Now, I know there might be some surprises here because both guys are, they're very well-rounded, I should say. And what I mean by that, I mean they're just really calm. They're very collected, and I like this fight a lot. Um, I do feel like this should be a point fight battle. Most of their wins have been by decision, I believe, and I feel like a decision is screaming my name just due to the fact that Chris Gutierrez is having a fight right now. But it's a big step up in competition for Farid. I think his last fight has been against Victor Hugo, so this is a big test for Basharat, who is still the heavy favorite against El Wapo himself, Chris Gutierrez. But I definitely see a chance for Gutierrez to shut down the hype of Farid Basharat and actually get a decision victory. I feel like the leg kicks will definitely be in play for this fight. But who knows? I do feel like Basharat might actually mix it up with the grappling as well. Interested in to see if Gutierrez will be able to capitalize and maybe counter the grappling of Basharat in this fight. But what do you guys think? Because I'm kind of, for some reason, leaning over the heavy underdog on this one. I really do think Chris Gutierrez has a great chance in this fight.
Yeah, look, I do understand the people that are kind of worried about Bajra. I get it. He's not very powerful. I think my grandmother with arthritis has more punching power than Farid Bajra, but the dude is a good fighter, right? He's not.
Yeah,
He's a better Bajra brother, by far. He really does a great job at mixing everything up every time he fights. We saw that in that Victor Hugo fight. Hugo came in 10 pounds overweight in that fight,
yeah, I forgot
and you
about
saw in
that.
that fight he was able to piece him up on the feet, and then once he was comfortable on the feet, once you get Victor Hugo guessing, immediately transitions takedowns, and against a really good grappler like that, he was able to dominate him on the ground. So, the Gutierrez, he's gonna be live, right, for the leg kicks or for the knees. I do get it. Maybe inside the distance decision, no action on him might be a decent play if you want to go that way. I just don't see like a feasible path to victory for Gutierrez outside of a Hail Mary knockout or leg kick TKO here. I just don't think he's going to have the skills, and he's not high volume enough to really kind of exploit Farid Basharat's lack of danger. We've seen him countless times in these fights just unnecessarily drop rounds because he's too busy playing on the outside, not using his hands, not trying to get up after getting taken down. And so I like Farid Basharat in this fight. This is one of my more confident picks on the card.
TMZ, what do you think, brother?
Yeah, I think both guys are really similar, man. I really like Fareed. I really like Free Basharat. I think he's a better. I think we can all agree he's the better of the Basharat brothers. And these two are really similar. I mean, just in the striking style and the movement. I believe if Gutierrez wants success in his fight, he has to use those leg kicks pretty often, but also has to be mindful of the takedowns. Gutierrez is really on his back. He's just not that dangerous. So when guys take him down, they usually just keep him there, and we've saw that a lot in the past. So I like Freed a lot. I like Freed by decision. I don't think there's a finish here. I just think it's a real technical fight, and I'm gonna go with Freed here by decision.
Yep, fair play, boys. Fair plays. I honestly agree with you there about Gutierrez just not really being as active, Barry. I really do. Um, it's going to be an interesting fight, and I'm intrigued about it. You know, even though I feel like this is going to go to a decision, and it might really just be a point fest. I am intrigued for this fight, and shockingly, more excited than for this fight right here. Edmund Shabazian, the Golden Boy, taking on Andre Muniz. Blah, blah. I cannot talk today, guys. Sorry. But Andre Muniz, interesting fight. I think Muniz and Shabazian are actually coming off losses, but or wait, no, Shabazian got a win against Petrosky, right? Yeah, right there against Petrosky. So he's
Yeah,
actually on a
Chicago
streak.
a run right now.
Yeah. Dylan Budka. My goodness, why did I have to be reminded of the mindless Hulk, Dylan Budka? He was not really all that, in my opinion. But interesting fight. I feel like this fight makes a lot of sense. I believe Muniz is coming off of a knockout loss to Ikram Askarov. So intrigued to see. It really does seem like Muniz is on the just the downfall of his career. I know he's got that split decision against the Iron Turtle, Jun Young Park, and I do feel like he won that fight barely. But it wasn't really an impressive performance, guys. And I mean, other than that, you know, you take that fight away from him, he's on a free fight skid. But I mean, it really just feels like it's do or die for Andre Muniz, and he really needs this fight. He really needs this win, and I could see it, but I honestly think I got Shabazian for this fight, and shockingly by decision. I know he gasses out, but I feel like he's going to get it together for this fight.
I mean, yeah, I'm gonna preface this by saying I think Shabazian is gonna win. I do think he's gonna win by knockout in this fight. We've seen the durability of Muniz really just kind of suffer these last couple fights. But I mean, minus 300 for a guy that's just consistently been struggling with takedowns and struggling with cardio issues. I mean, I don't know what we're doing here, having it my minus 300. I think this is closer to an even fight than minus 300. In
Yeah,
my
I
opinion, you see
agree.
Muniz against actual good guys, and he's a legit wrestler, right? He's not Dylan Budka, just some bum. He's not Andre Petrosky, who's gonna try to shoot one takedown per fight and just kind of just try to strike with you. He's a big guy. He's an actual wrestler, and he's dangerous on top. And we've seen Shabazian, even when he does have success striking, when he gets taken down, this guy gasses hard on the bottom, trying to get up to his feet. Has poor grappling defense. So, obviously, as I said before, I think Shabazian does knock him out, but I I'm definitely not confident enough to bet him, and definitely not at minus 300. That's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, I wouldn't really take it too. I was looking at maybe Edmund and Muniz to go to distance because I was on the plus side, but I mean, other than that, I don't feel like there's really much to really be made of this fight. TMZ, we have seen before, just like Barry said, that Edmund Shabazian has gassed out many times before, just trying to get back up to the feet. We've seen it, especially in the Derek Brunson fight years ago. But I mean, we've also seen it, I believe, against Nasruddin Mavov and many others. Um, what are you thinking for this fight, man? Because I mean, I feel like Edmund should still be able to get this fight. I feel like he does have everything coming to him. He's the younger guy. He doesn't have the reach, but he will have a height advantage. But at minus 320, it really doesn't seem right for someone that we have seen many times before gas out against grapplers, and he's fighting another grappler in Andre Muniz.
Yeah, definitely fair point. I mean, Barry spoke on it just now. I was actually one of the guys that bet Jake Matthews last week, minus 400. So
Yeah.
you guys can only imagine how I was feeling. But yeah, I mean, also on the other side, I can't really go with Andre Muniz. This is a guy who, I mean, his striking is just is really bad. It, I mean, I mean, we saw the Paul Craig fight, probably the only KO Paul Craig has in the UFC. So, from a betting standpoint, I think you may want to go Edmund. Uh, maybe want to go Edmund live, or because I know Muniz might fade as round 2 and 3 goes. So if you want to wait, I might just look at the live tab after the first round, and it might be a closer fight than we see by the odds. But there's no way pre-flop I could go with Muniz. I mean, this dude is basically sub or bust, and can he get Edmonds back for sure? But I think Edmund is just he has a great coach with him with Coach Nixick, and he's improving. I mean, he's still young. I mean, he has fight miles on him, but he's still young in age. So I'm gonna go with the guy who's better on the feet and just has more potential. So I'm gonna go with Edmund. I definitely think he gets the finish, so maybe a KO round 2, round 3.
Yeah, and I mean, I did say that he's fighting another grappler here, but, putting some context with it, guys, obviously, I mean, there's a distinct difference between Andre Muniz and then a pure top heavy wrestler like Derek Brunson, or even, Fluffy Hernandez or Nasruddin Imavov. There's a complete difference. Now, of course, we have seen Gerald Mearshart before, and I mean, yes, it's always going to be possible, but I feel like Edmund is smart enough to avoid that. And I do feel like Edmund wins, but I'm going to actually go with decision and not knockout. But it's it'll be interesting to see, as I always say. But yeah, I do think Edmund will win by decision. Yeah, I really don't think we need to talk about this fight. I I don't think we need to talk about this fight.
Just pure murder. Just murder.
Yeah, Fine's getting knocked the fuck out, and there's nothing really to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, like I was telling you guys before we actually recorded, and for the viewers here that are actually you know, maybe still going to be watching this long throughout the video at this certain standpoint. I do feel like the only thing that you can maybe go for with this fight is Gautier and Vines to start round 2. And that's not even up. That's not even a thing. So, I mean, what can you really do? Um, I do feel like Gautier should be able to win this fight, and it should be by a devastating knockout or at least TKO. But yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah, I
we we
completely agree. I'm
definitely
not
we
really.
definitely ain't got to talk about that. I know
Yeah,
y'all were quiet.
yeah. I mean, like I said, he's. I mean, I'm not. I'm just gonna keep this short. I traced him by and respect him for coming in on short notice. That's
Yeah.
big risk. But I mean, look at the 3 losses, all by
Yep.
knockout. Raheem Forrest, John Fuller. I mean, those just aren't really. Those aren't good fighters, and so going up against one of the scariest middleweight prospects that we've seen in a while, he's getting knocked the fuck out. There's nothing really too much about it.
All right, that picture of CM Punk that I just saw right there on his profile just kind of cursed me a little bit. I did not expect that. At least not that hairstyle. But yeah, I mean, when you look at all of his fights, amateur and professional, I mean, it's just finish, and it's not against good guys at all. Um, and I don't think a Carlos Vera situation is really going to be happening. Who did he fight? He just fought Thickness. Um, Let me see. what's his
Are
name?
you talking about Musasa?
Yes,
Yeah.
Musasa. It's not going to be like a Carlos Vera and Musasa situation. I don't think there's going to be like a sudden head kick knockout or just a sudden anything with this guy. I don't think he'll be able to really get anything going. And I just hope that Ateba is still patient, and if he stays patient, just makes sure that this guy whiffs his shots, he's going to crumble. He's going to crumble, especially on short notice. This should be a manslaughter, really. I mean, obviously, just turn the camera off, and with this guy as well, who is trying to switch his name to just that, um, Joe Pyfer versus Abus Magomedov, and I feel like this is really fair odds for this fight, guys. There's not much I can really say here. I like Abus. I think he's a great fighter. I think he impressed with the Michel Pereira performance, and I really thought to myself, yeah, early on he'll give Sean Strickland, a little bit of a run for his money. But I mean, that's the thing. He has always struggled with the gas tank, a boost, and I feel like it is no difference here. I think Pfeiffer is better in the cardio. He's better in the power overall. When it comes to just pure form of striking, maybe you can make a little argument for a boost, but I feel like this is Joe Pfeiffer's fight to win. I do think he will win. Younger guy. Once again, I thought he had the reach, but no, it's not the case. But I mean, other than the age, this is a pretty even out fight. I do feel like Joe Pfeiffer wins this, and I feel like he actually gets a knockout maybe in the second or third round.
Yeah, as you said, I think this is kind of like a really perfect like stylistic matchup for Joe Pyfer in this fight. Not that Abus is like a bad fighter, but I just think that kind of all his weaknesses kind of play into the strength of Pyfer. And I talk about the weaknesses of Pyfer. I think those are going to be, kind of muted by, kind of the weaknesses that a boost has. Piper, I'm not 100% sold in this guy yet, right? Because he's shown in his fight against Hermanson and Gastelum that the dude still has cardio problems, right?
Right.
He headhunts, he tries to go for the knockout. And if he doesn't get the knockout early, he struggles a lot. He doesn't really have any ideas on the feet outside of those big hooks that he throws early on in fights. And once people kind of haven't figured out, they haven't figured out, and then you can't really extend or go to a plan B. But the good news is for him in this fight that Abus has shown durability concerns in his fights with Strickland and Kaio and Bruno, who are all really good fighters, but still to get knocked down that many times in some of those fights and to have cardio issues as he had in a lot of those fights, those are big problems for Abus. And I think obviously Pfeiffer hits quite a bit harder than a couple of those guys. Maybe not Bruno, but he does hit very, very hard. And like I said, this is a good matchup for him to kind of shine. Obviously, if a boost is intent on wrestling early, we could see some interesting stuff happening. But I think Pfeiffer should knock out Magomedov, but odds are a touch bit wide in my opinion.
TMZ, you the same way with us, man. I do. We really feel like Joe Pfeiffer should be able to win this fight.
Yeah, it's hard to fade Joe Pyfer in spots like these because a boost isn't really excellent at, at one thing. He's basically like decent at everything. He's not the best striker, not the best grappler, not the best wrestler, but I mean he's decent at everything. And against a guy like Pyfer, you gotta kind of fight like Jack Hermanson, how he did. He was busy on the feet, bought the volume, and tested his takedown defense as well. And a boost just isn't that, and his cardio isn't that good either. So I think Piper's gonna throw that powerful right hand, and he's gonna hurt a boost within the first 10 minutes of the fight. And I think once he touches a boost is gonna react pretty bad, and then he'll
Yeah.
finish off the fight from there. So I'm gonna go with Piper by KO as well for sure.
Now it will be interesting to see if Boost can actually use the reach to his advantage here. But I do feel like after everything, I think Joe Pfeiffer. Let me see. I think my screen's frozen on my side. Yeah, there we go. I think this is the first time he's really fighting a bigger opponent. I mean, other than Mearshart. I mean, Mearshart's pretty tall, but I mean, I think this is one of the first times he's actually fighting like one of a really big opponent. Other than
How
Gastelum
tall is?
because he's really big. But you know,
Yeah, isn't Piper about what is it about 6'2", 6'3"?
6'2".
Ashlam's really big. That just eats a
Yeah,
lot of tacos, though. He's
Yeah,
not strong.
that's what I'm
yeah,
saying, man. That's why I
Gaslam's
said he
more.
was really big.
Yeah, he's more wide. Gaslam's like 5'9" though.
Yeah. But it's a great fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm intrigued to see this, and with Joe Pyfer, I'm always excited to see Joe Pyfer. He always says a lot of stupid shit when he opens his mouth, but he is a good fighter and great power as well, obviously. So always intrigued to see the guy. Speaking of power, guys, Josh Emmett, Yusuf Zalal, like this fight a lot. This is really Yusuf's first test, in my opinion. I hate to say this, but I don't think Calvin Cater was really a big test. I really don't. When you're fighting someone that's on a free fight, 4-fight losing streak, I mean, it's really tough to say that he is a test for you. And I mean, Steve Garcia is one of my favorite fighters as well. But you can say the same thing with him when he fought Calvin Cater. So I don't feel like he's been tested yet. I feel like Onama in that fight will be very interesting. And I think that's actually a main event too, which I like a lot with them two prospects. I like it when two hot prospects in a division actually fight for a 5-rounder. It's not usually the prospect that's looking undefeated or on a hot streak taking on the veteran. So I really do like the change of pace. But back on the subject here, Josh Emmett and Yusuf Zalal, guys, I'm always going to root for Josh Emmett. And I mean, I made that mistake before when I was with TMZ. We talked about the Lerone Murphy fight. We broke that down and that entire card down. If you haven't seen it, go watch it because I mean, he was completely right and I was completely wrong. Um, but I'm always going to root for Josh Emmett, even if I think Yusuf Salal should be able to win this fight. I think he will utilize the jab, and it's always going to be great to see. Josh Emmett is going to be swinging hooks and haymakers. He says he's in the best shape of his life, and I mean, training with TJ Dillashaw is obviously going to give you some benefits and maybe not so much of benefits. You can ask Chris Holdsworth about that, but it's a great fight. Obviously, the much more younger guy is Zalal. He's got the reach, he's got the height, he has everything coming for him, even the momentum. Um, and this is his first big test, guys. But just being who I am, I'm always going to root for Josh Emmett, and I have him actually this time by decision. This is a free rounder. I think he will win by decision.
Yeah, and I can see the argument for maybe the odds being a little bit too wide. Just basically just off of pure like I guess danger. Where obviously Emmett's always going to be live for the overhand or whatever, and
Yeah.
Zalal has shown against like when he gets that kind of step up in competition against guys like Blackshear and Cater that he can't really translate the finishing instincts to like the high level. But I mean, this should be Zalal's fight, right? Emmett, people want to make the case, because
Yeah.
he's in better shape, he's going to be more aggressive. But Zalal is he's just the better fighter overall. Emmett's just not really. He's just kind of a guy that just throws overhands. Since he has so much power in this weight class and so athletic, he's able to
I
connect on a
agree.
lot of these overhands. And I just don't think that it's going to translate against these younger guys, these faster guys that can do it all. And Yusuf Zalal can do it all. He can wrestle. I don't think he's going to have a ton of success wrestling him, but he can wrestle him. He can give that threat of wrestle. He has those unorthodox takedowns and trips, and on the feet, he's going to be the far, far faster striker, in my opinion. It may be boring. It may be, him running around for 15 minutes, but he should be able to snipe Evan on the outside, just like Lerone Murphy did, and kind of cruise to a pretty easy decision, in my opinion. This isn't really much of a thought when I first saw this fight, and the odds reflect that.
I unfortunately agree with you, but anyway, Josh Emmett by complete and utter fucking knockout. Always going to root for him. That's just who I am. And TMZ knows that very well, man. What do you think about this fight? Even though I do feel like I know what you're gonna say.
So I'm gonna start off with a question. Who you guys think is better, Yusuf Zalal or Lerone Murphy?
Murphy.
Murphy.
Yeah,
What do you think,
Murphy, no,
Jared?
no question.
Murphy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just going back, Carver, we did break down that fight, and I was high on Murphy because I believe Murphy's switch stance and movement is just way better and would cause problems for Josh, and it did. But in this fight, I think the threat coming back at him from Zalal is not going to be as dangerous as it was from Murphy. So last time I was against Josh Emmett, but this time I'm going to go with Josh Emmett to win the fight.
Wow.
I think, yeah, I know it's surprising, right? I think something that can benefit him a lot is put Zalal on his back foot and put him against the cage more than letting Zalal skate around in that. I meant in that Cater fight. Because with all due respect, the Cater he fought. I mean, Cater's on a five-fight losing streak now. We gotta just be honest, and that's not the same Calvin Cater from years ago, 2018,
Yeah,
2019.
this isn't the
So
guy that fought
yeah,
fucking Giga and all of them guys. So it's really unfortunate to see a downfall like that.
yeah, because I mean, I love Zalal. Like, seems like a good dude, but it's like, bro, he beat Jack Shore, which he was like a really good fighter, but he's not in the UFC anymore. He
Yeah.
beat Billy Q, which another dude I'm a fan of, but again, bro, like, sorry. Emmett is just he's in that top six range, like as an elite contender. So, and I think if they get in an exchange and he connects, Josh Emmett can knock out anybody on this planet. So having TJ behind him, I gotta go with the guy that's just been at that high level, and he said in an interview this week that he's in the best shape of his life. So all I can do is believe him and go with Josh Emmett.
Yeah, man, and I'm surprised I have been a Josh Emmett fan, and I am only now actually looking at this guy's nickname, CC0. Very interesting, I tell you. But yeah, I do feel like Zalal has everything going for him in this fight. He's got the reach, the height, everything that I pretty much mentioned before and uncovered before. And, he obviously has some momentum as well. But I think we can all agree that this is really his first test. I mean, Calvin Cater was at that time not really a test for him. And, you can maybe even argue look at that ad right there. You can definitely argue that, Josh Emmett, he's not too much of a test. But I mean, even though he's on this little skid, he's 2-3 in his last five overall. And, one of his wins being a very controversial one against Calvin Cater in a main event for fight night. But I mean, you look at this right here. Yair Rodriguez, former interim champ. Ilya Taporia went on to become, double champion. Lerone Murphy, probably, one win away from actually fighting for the title. Or maybe even arguably if they can't get Ivoyev or, whatever they do, because I hope to God they don't do Yair or a Lopez rematch for Volkanovski right now. But just either way, Josh Emmett's wins have aged or just his losses have aged incredibly well. And like I said before, just it's really the first test for Yusuf Salah in this fight. I think we can agree on that, right?
Yeah, 100%. Cater obviously is, done. So this is definitely like the first top 10, like actual decent test.
Yeah, that's honestly what I thought. But great fight. I just don't think it is as great as this fight right here, though. Featured fight: Yuri Prohaska, Khalil Roundtree Jr. And guys, what a fight! Really, what a fight! And I do feel like this will actually be a finish. I could see it for either guy, but always going to root for Yuri, and I do think Yuri will win this fight. I feel like his pressure is really going to cause Khalil Roundtree some problems. The only thing I'm maybe concerned about if Roundtree actually implements that game plan again that he did against Jamal Hill. The leg kicks will definitely come in handy. We've seen Yuri have trouble with leg kicks before, obviously, in his title matches with Alex Pereira. But, you know, Khalil Roundtree just has like full on force. Not saying that he has better leg kicks overall than Pereira, but I mean, those leg kicks are definitely brutal. And with the style and just the footwork overall, the way that Yuri plants his feet, it could definitely be a problem. But with that being said, I feel like Yuri has everything else going for him, and it's just the absolute chaos of the situation. He doesn't care if he's hurt. He's gonna keep rolling with you. He's always gonna keep coming forward. That racket fight really showed a lot about Yuri Prohaska, even more than what we saw maybe against Glover Teixeira and others. The Dominic Reyes fight, obviously, I mean, he's been hurt on several occasions. He does not change his game plan. Um, I feel like Yuri Prohaska will finish Khalil Roundtree Jr. I made a tweet earlier, saying that this is just one of those fights where you do not want either guy to really lose, and I stand by that, man. But unfortunately, I like Yuri more than I do Khalil Roundtree. Well, not even unfortunately, but I mean, it's still unfortunate that someone's got to lose this fight because I love the streaks that both guys are really just performing in and just going off of. Those performances are incredible. But I got Yuri Prohaska, and I'm gonna say he wins by knockout.
Yeah, as you said, amazing fight of the year potential, all that stuff. These are two guys that are going to leave everything out there. Great durability on both sides, great power on both sides. So it's just a very fun fight with a lot of factors going in. And I think if you follow my Twitter page, you know where I'm going to go with this. But Yuri Prohaska, as you said, complete chaos. This guy's very, very dangerous everywhere the fight goes. And we saw in his last fight he was kind of working with the head movement a little bit against Jamal Hill. He was moving the head, able to counter off the center line. So he looked really good in that fight. But I'll say a couple things. One, the leg kicks. I don't think the leg kicks are still going to be a problem for Prohaska. You've seen him constantly in fights, multiple fights, struggle with leg kick defense. Rakic, Pereira, even against Jamal Hill, he was getting his leg lit up a little bit, which is a problem because Roundtree's a really, really fast fighter. Even at 35 years old, this guy's one of the faster fighters in the light heavyweight division. And I just think that Yuri, he still gets hit a lot, and he gets hit way too much, in my opinion, for a fight like this against Roundtree, who's going to be super active, showed the cardio last fight, absolutely dominated Jamal Hill, whereas Yuri Prohaska really had to go to war with Jamal Hill to kind of get him out of there. It was a 5-round domination for Khalil Roundtree. You saw him use his best weapons, the leg kicks and the hooks, the really fast hooks in that fight. I think Roundtree is going to be able to exploit the defensive weaknesses of Prohaska. I think he's going to get to the punch quicker than Prohaska, and I think even maybe his overall just striking technique is going to be so much cleaner than Prohaska in this fight. I gotta go for him at these odds at plus 150, and it keeps getting higher and higher. I see Prohaska's up to around minus 200 now on some odds, so I just think there's great value on Roundtree. I think he's going to win this fight, potentially by knockout, but I have him by decision right now.
Very interesting, my friend. Team Z, what do you think about this barn burner right here?
Yeah, I'm really happy Barry said that because now I can put in my Khalil Roundtree bet. Because I've been saying it all week. I looked at the odds. I thought it'd be closer to maybe like a minus 120, like close to a pick 'em. Because Yuri's very dangerous, but he's also
Very
a
hittable.
really, yeah, just a very hittable fighter. I mean, we see it every fight. We see it with the Jamal Hill fight. Jamal hit him with really good shots. Both Alex fights finished him because Yuri just wasn't technical. But I mean, Khalil's really good to me. I like his Muay Thai style with his low kicks, his standing hammer fist, and in this fight, I think his leg kicks can do road damage just like Alex did against Yuri. So I think if he puts that work in early and just keep hitting with the leg kicks and maybe go up top eventually, I think you catch Yuri with a really good shot. So yeah, I'm with Barry here. I'm gonna take Khalil as an underdog.
Interesting, man. Interesting indeed. But I mean, I see where you guys are coming from with that. Like like we just said, Yuri is a very hittable fighter. I do feel like Khalil will be a lot more patient, and will definitely mix it up quite a bit. I don't think he will get a takedown. I don't think a takedown will be landed in this fight. I saw the odds for Yuri, landing the takedown at least just over point 0.5. And I think that was at like plus 500 the last time I checked. So it's very interesting. We've seen him mix in takedowns before. I don't know if he does it here, though. But co-main event, we are nearing the end, gentlemen. Marab looking for his third consecutive title defense. He takes on the Sandman, Corey Sandhagen. Murad Dvalishvili has been incredible, guys. I mean, has defeated 5 former world champions, even though one was a repeat. And that, of course, that repeat was Sean O'Malley. But, of course, great wins against the likes of Jose Aldo as well and Henry Cejudo. And I mean, he looked incredible in this last fight. I mean, there's not really much to say about that last fight. Um, got a north-south choke, I believe, against Sean O'Malley, which I thought was cool. I was like, oh, hey. But Marab, great fighter. I do feel like this is going to be a completely different fight. I feel like Corey Sandhagen is a fast starter. And, if he starts as fast as he did against Piotr Jan, for example, I feel like this is probably going to be a much more closer fight. If he utilizes that jab a lot, just utilizes everything that he can, you know, don't be so hesitant or worried about the takedowns. I feel like he has a better chance, because he can't worry about the takedowns because I mean, the takedown is coming. You cannot just be, clean forever. You can't have the perfect fight. I'm not saying scrap out and, just swing with him, but I mean, keep utilizing that jab. You have a distinct height and reach advantage. Keep on going. Don't let the taunting get to your head. And, Corey Sandhagen is this might be one of his last chances, maybe, to maybe grab a title because I really don't know how things are really going to go here. He's coming off of a weird finish, a weird win against Figueiredo. I know Marab wanted that Figueiredo fight a lot, but doesn't look like that's going to be happening anytime soon. But going back into this fight here, Marab is great. Corey is great. Obviously, the two top contenders in the bantamweight division right now. But I do feel like if Umar is able to grapple like he did against Sandhagen, I do feel like Marab should be able to do the same thing and, you know, maybe even better. Um, but, Marab obviously doesn't have to just completely take him down. He can control him on the cage. He can be very much active in the clinch if he wants to. And, for Sandhagen, the game plan obviously has to stay away from that distance, stay away from the inside. Use the jab, use the straights, just use the boxing in general. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting fight, guys. I got Marab by decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if Corey Sandhagen pulled something out of his ass, man, because he's got great potential, and he might actually show it right here for this fight.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also have Marab winning this by decision. And of course Corey Sandhagen will have a chance at a knockout, right? As is, most this is mixed martial arts. Anything can happen. And Corey is a very unorthodox striker, right? He's got knees, he's got kicks, he's got spinning attacks, but I just think in the end, if you're really going fighter to fighter, I just think Corey Sandhagen, when he gets these high level opportunities, not really high level, but high meaningful opportunities, he chokes in these spots, right? And
Yeah.
it's going to be a big problem against Marab when he's not able to find that big knockout punch in the first or second round, that knockout strike in the first or second round. He struggled, in that Piotr Jan fight, the 5-round fight where there was a big pace push on him. He was sort of fatiguing that fight, got hurt a couple times in that fight, and while he's not going to probably get hurt in this fight, if he starts fatiguing in this fight, we've seen his takedown defense kind of fail him at times, and we've seen his cage craft isn't the best when he's getting taken down and losing these fights. And Marab, I mean, no one is able to match the pace of this guy. Not very many humans on this planet can match the pace that Marab brings. I just think it's inevitable that people are going to tire when they fight this guy Marab. We saw Umar go 5 rounds with Corey, and he looked great. And then when he fought Marab after that 3rd round, he was tired.
Completely
He
different
could
pace, my
barely
friend.
breathe,
Yeah.
completely gassed. So I just think for Corey, he's just going to have to be super active, try to maybe find that early shot. I think it's the only way you can probably beat Marab unless you're named Umar Nurmagomedov because he's just so skilled. But I just think it's inevitable that Corey's going to give up those takedowns and this control time after that 2nd round. I think once he does, as Marab's seen, making improvements every time. It's just probably going to be downhill from there. I don't think he's going to finish Corey Sandhagen, but I do think he's going to dominate those later rounds and win a pretty wide decision.
Now, honestly, guys, it really does seem like Corey Sandhagen is just really one of the more unluckier fighters that the UFC has really had. I mean, and I mean, his losses have aged, I would say, pretty good. I think Umar has the potential to become a champion. The only problem is that there's a guy, some Georgian guy named Rob Davalishvili, some midget just holding the title, man. Um, but I mean, you really do have to look at it. He's about to fight arguably the greatest bantamweight champion ever. I still feel like maybe he needs a win here against Sandhagen and then maybe one more title defense before I can really say for sure that he is probably the greatest bantamweight of all time. Um, but I mean, you have the Aljamain Sterling fight. Aljamain, you know, went on to become one of the best champions, that we had and one of the best bantamweights. Um, and of course, we just really seen it way too much, man. But you were pretty much spot on when you said that Sandhagen, when he gets these meaningful opportunities against people like Aljamain Sterling, with people like Piotr Jan, he just kind of crumbles. He really does, and I wouldn't be surprised if he, crumbles here too, because I mean the pace of Marab is just insane. TMZ, what are you thinking about this fight, man? Because it's a great one. Don't get me wrong. Uh, but maybe a few people are just looking at Sandhagen a little bit too much. We've seen this before in the past with Aljamain, as I mentioned, with Umar before. He fights another very dangerous, high-paced grappler. What do you think?
Yeah, so I just argue your point about the most unlucky fighter. I'll say Gustafsson for sure,
Yeah,
just
that's true.
because yeah, just because he was around with DC and John Jones. But back to Marab, uh, I mean, man, it's Marab. This dude, it's tough when there's a fighter where you're not gonna have more cardio, and you're not gonna push more of a pace, and that's Marab. Luke Thomas is a great watch. I mean, he breaks down Marab's game really well, and it's just he's one of those guys you're just not gonna win rounds against. You have to be able to get back up. You got to be able to push on Marab and hurt him. Honestly, that's your best bet. And Corey has some tricky tools. I mean, we see with the flying knee against Frankie Edgar, the submission against Figgy last time out. Corey's really talented, but Marab is just one of those guys I can't go against. I mean, he's he's someone we've never seen before. His cardio, his pace. I'm pretty sure we all saw the Yan fight. He attempted 20 takedowns. He didn't look tired. That's just unheard of. So I'm gonna go with Marab, man, because I can't go against a guy that's on track to become one of the best bantamweights we ever seen. So I'm gonna go Marab. I don't think he finishes Corey. I wouldn't be surprised, but I think he just puts on a pace and outworks him. Maybe wins 4 rounds to one or 3 rounds to two by decision.
Yep. So we all pretty much agree in unison that Marab should win this fight. But I'm still in. I'm still excited for this one, man, because I know the type of style that Corey Hagen brings, and Marab is obviously a great showman and will definitely play to the crowd too. So this should be a fight to definitely watch out for. I'm excited for it. But the main event, you know, the moment we've all been waiting for. Light heavyweight title on the line. Magomed Ankalaev rematching Alex Pereira, the former champion. And, I'm always a big fan of Alex Pereira, and I hope he wins. But I mean, it's not even the fact that I hate Ankalaev because I really don't. I really don't. He has a great highlight reel of his own. He's got great power. He's technical, and I mean, he's very well rounded as well. To say that you hate Ankalaev is just the fact that you wanted Alex Pereira to win their first fight. And I mean, I don't blame you. They look at that they look at those fights against, with Ankalaev, they look at the fights against Anthony Smith, for example, which I mean, I understand the Volkan Oezdemir fight, I understand as well. And, even the Jan Blachowicz fight, because they thought Jan won the fight. I thought Jan won that fight as well. So, that's also another thing. Jan really being one of the more unluckier fighters, too. I know a lot of people talk about the Carlos Olberg one, but Eh, I just don't know about that decision. I thought Carlos won, and I know Barry disagrees with me there. But back on track, Ankalaev is a great striker. Um, I've really just a great fighter overall, and I would not be surprised if he actually finished this fight against Alex Pereira. I think Pereira will be a lot more aggressive, but my problem with this and just my gut feeling overall is the fact that he is talking, so much shit. He's getting pissed. He does this isn't the same Alex Pereira that we've really seen before. And, maybe in a way a little bit overconfident, saying that this guy is a horrible champ, that he was absolutely nothing. He did absolutely nothing on his worst day. Um, but, you know, we've seen the overconfidence before of Alex Pereira against the Adesanya 2 fight, and one of the things I look at, he was so confident because obviously, he defeated Adesanya 3 times already. But you look at that first stare down in their first fight, he looks composed. He looks relaxed. You look at the rematch, you know, takes his eyes off him, raises up to the crowd. You don't see that with Pereira. You really don't. He will stare you down like no other. And, my gut feeling was right for that fight against Adesanya, and Adesanya unfortunately knocked him out. I feel like the overconfidence is back, and, just he's angry. He's pissed, obviously. Um, and he will definitely be more over aggressive. I hope he has a better game plan than to just keep doing a little leg slap over and over again, knowing damn well Ankalaev has prepared for his leg kicks, just like in the first fight after, the Jan Blachowicz fight where that got exposed. He's obviously going to train against someone that has mastered the leg kicks, that everybody is creaming his leg kicks for, right? Um, I feel like this probably goes the same way, but I feel like it happens inside the distance. And I hate to say it, but maybe Ankalaev wins this by knockout, guys.
Yeah, completely agree. And first, I do want to give credit to Alex before I pick him to get brutally knocked out.
Oh,
I'd say he's a legend at this point, right? He's come in 35 years old after a lengthy kickboxing career, one of the better kickboxing careers of all time. Then he comes into the UFC, becomes the fastest two-time champion, defeats so many former champions. He looks great doing it. So it's just all the credit in the world to Alex for the run that he's been on at this late in his career. But it's Magomed Ankalaev's time, man. It's not again. It's not anything against Pereira. It's not that he's a bad fighter. It's not that he's a fraud. It's just the sport kind of passed him by. It's Ankalaev's time to shine after a bunch of years of kind of being that number one contender, being that guy that everyone's saying is going to be the champion. He's the champion now, and I think he's going to win in emphatic fashion. And the odds surely say that. Look, I do think Pereira is going to be more aggressive. in this fight, and maybe that's a good thing for him because it gives him more openings with the hands. Because obviously he wasn't really active with the hands last fight, but
Yeah.
I think Ankalaev just got everything covered in terms of the striking. I told everyone in that first fight, I said he could potentially outstrike Pereira. Pereira has defensive holes in his game, and Ankalaev definitely exploited that. Hurt him bad in the second round. And while he wasn't able to get any takedowns, if Pereira's more aggressive, that could definitely lead to openings there. And again, if he doesn't this time, he's already shown he can outstrike him. So coming in with that 5-round experience, they're gonna get right after it. He can maybe look for cage control time, but ultimately, I think it's the striking that's gonna beat Alex Pereira. And I think he is gonna get this done by knockout. Maybe even early in this fight, it could be a car crash situation, and I think someone's gonna go down.
Possibly, we have seen Alex Pereira overextend before in the Adesanya rematch, and he got knocked out, as I mentioned. TMZ, maybe even another thing that we can say about this, Gordon, is the fact that Alex Pereira has been there, done that. He has great title defenses. He's had great fights, great moments. Double champion. Um, and I mean, came in at 35 years of age, already been there, done that with kickboxing. Maybe it really seems like that this might be his last one. I don't think maybe he is as motivated as what people really seem to think that he is. And it's really tough to say because I mean he's already looking at like a heavyweight move. He's already complaining about the 205 weight cut, which it's crazy to think that he's actually made 185 before. Um, but do you think maybe he is even as motivated for this fight as what he was before? And who you got for this one, man?
Yeah, so 100%. I think he's motivated than before. I think him losing the championship is making him even more hungry to gain it back. And you guys all made fair points, but the way I'm looking at this fight is we have a rematch, right? With the guy who said he was at 30%, and I believe him. Looking at the fight previously, wasn't that active. The volume wasn't there. He had some good moments, but he lost the fight. And if you're giving me the same guy but at full strength, and the last result was a split decision, he even get finished, and he got caught once, but now we're getting Alex that's motivated, fully healthy. I believe it's a way better performance from him, and uh, I mean on the Uncle Live fight, it was during Ramadan, so I give him that. He may be in better shape, but I just like Alex in this fight, man. In a stand-up fight, I'll take Alex against anybody in this world for sure. Because I mean that left hook is still a thing, even though it didn't happen last fight. They can still catch Ankalaev coming in. So I really like Ankalaev. I mean, sorry, Alex in this fight. I think he finishes the job not early because I think they did go 5 rounds with each other. So early on, they might still fill each other out. Maybe more of a point fight, but I'm gonna go with Alex late, maybe 3, 4, or 5, and I think he gets the belt back. And win or lose, I hope he does go heavyweight if the weight cut is killing him. But yeah, I gotta go with Alex in this fight. It's a tough pick, but at plus 200, I'll take Alex Pereira against anybody in the light heavyweight division. So yeah, that's my pick.
Yep, I definitely see it, man. Now, actually, before we get into our free leg parlays, guys, I want to actually ask you real quick with this fight. Let's say Alex Pereira does actually win, he regains the championship. Do you think the UFC will do a trilogy, or do you think they will actually give it to maybe Carlos Oldberg? Because, I mean, Carlos Oldberg being a training partner of Israel Adesanya, they have a storyline to really capitalize on. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, they're absolutely not going to give Ankalaev the trilogy. Maybe that is probably the better fight next, but I don't think the UFC is going to ever want that fight. It took Magomed Ankalaev like 5 fights, 5 fight winning streak to fight back for this title, and I just don't think that they're going to allow him to kind of touch Alex once if he is able to get back the title, because obviously I think he is the toughest matchup in the light heavyweight division for Alex. And I think, like you said with Olberg, there's some background there. City kickboxing, the rivalry with Izzy, it's kind of his like protege. I know Olberg isn't like a young dude, but is still, Israel Adesanya's protege and the city kickboxing thing. So it could be another fun little rivalry there. But yeah, I don't think they would ever give Ankalaev the trilogy if he were to lose this fight.
What about you, TMZ?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree with Barry. I mean, even though Life might be the best contender for him, I mean, from a business standpoint, he's just not marketable, man. I mean, we see the press conferences. He doesn't speak English. He's not a fan favorite, and depending on how he loses, I think is a factor as well. I mean, if Alex comes out here and knocks him out, then that could change things. But if it's another close decision and Alex wins, then maybe they do a trilogy. So I personally, I don't want to see a trilogy. I would rather see Alex go to heavyweight and do something we haven't seen before and fight for a third title and win it. So I'm I'm hoping there isn't, but I can definitely see a world where there is a trilogy. There just isn't much at light heavyweight if Alex wins. I mean, he beat Yuri twice, he beat Khalil once. The Olberg fight could be interesting, but I'm not dying to see that one as either. So yeah, I hope there isn't after this one.
All right, and with that being said, that is our predictions. But we still have one more thing to do, folks, and that is our free leg parlay. I think I'm just actually gonna go ahead and start with mine, and like I told you guys before we even started this recording, that all of them are on the plus side here. So I'm gonna go ahead and show that right now. So the first thing I want to go ahead and put out that I already said is Sangyu Zombie Jr. to win by decision. That is plus 275. I feel like it's very possible for Sangyu. And like I said, with Daniel Santos and the little weight issues, that just obviously worries me and makes me lean over to Sangyu a little bit more than usual. The next thing I actually want to go ahead and put out, if I can find it here, I believe it's fight props, fight to go the distance. I want to go ahead and put Soriano versus Nikolai Veretennikov uh, to go the distance. That's at plus 140. And I mean, already you got a plus 800 thing, two pick parlay. But I'm not going to stop there because the last thing I want to go ahead and do, since we do free leg parlays, is this right here. I want to go to takedowns landed, and I want to do Yusuf Salal to actually go under 1.5 takedowns. Um, you know, if you look at some of his fights, he usually will get at least one takedown. But I mean, other than that, not really there. And I feel like with Josh Emmett, who does have a very good base overall, I feel like this is very much possible. So I don't see Yusuf Zalal getting more than two takedowns in this fight. I mean, at most one takedown only. Uh, but looking at this, I mean, plus 1700. I know it's a big risk, but I mean, I like it. $20 will pay you $360. I feel like that's fair. I feel like this is a pretty good free leg parlay, and that's what I got. So whoever wants to go next.
I'll take it next. So my first leg of the parlay is going to be Punahele Soriano to win his fight by knockout.
Ooh.
I like the power coming back his way. Obviously, he's gonna be swinging big on the feet and even in the ground and pound. You saw Nikolai struggle with that a lot in his fight, so I like that for plus money. Second bet is going to be a simple one that I think is going to hit a decent money. It's going to be Patchy Mix money line, minus 350, I believe it's at right now. Again, it's a lot of chalk for a guy that hasn't won in the UFC, but I think this is a big step down for him against a guy that's kind of been a regional guy throughout his career. And then the third one I got is going to be Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev under 3.5, plus 100, I believe, is what you're going to get that at. And yeah, I just think that's going to be a lot of value for like you said. I thought it was going to be a car crash situation. Alex coming forward aggressive. And I think once that does happen, I don't think there's going to be too much takedowns from Magomed. I think someone's going to go to sleep in the striking. And, this makes it a lot safer. So that way, as you know, Alex is very powerful. So play both sides under 3.5 for plus money.
Yeah, that's honestly a good one, man. I do like it. $20 will give you $109.84. Not bad at all, my brother. Not bad at all. TMZ, what are you thinking about, bud?
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna call this one the ginger parlay. 'Cause all these dudes are gingers. So I'm gonna go
Okay.
with Edmund Shabazian up first. Like I said, I'm not a fan of Andre Muniz, so I think he gets him out of there by KO. But I'm gonna go with him money line just in case it goes to
Okay.
decision. The next one will be Joe Pyfer money line. I like him against a boost just think he's the overall better fighter. And we're closing it out with Marab money line to and still keep his championship against Corey Sandhagen and keep putting on his status for best bantamweight to ever do it.
Heavy favorites right here. Free leg will get you on the plus side. $20 will pay you 45, 49. And I mean, that's definitely safe right there and I like it. I definitely do. But yeah, I mean, that is UFC free 20 guys and we definitely rant long, let me tell you. But I mean, I enjoy these long rants. I enjoy the takes and the opinions of you guys and just listening to the picks overall. I definitely enjoy it and I definitely enjoy talking to you guys. UFC free 20 should be absolutely incredible. I don't want to waste too much time because I feel like that main event for PFL is about to come up, and that's Paul Hughes and Nurmagomedov in a rematch. I like that a lot. Um, I don't know if it's live right now, but who y'all got for that fight?
I got Usman winning by decision. I think just with the judges and all in Abu Dhabi, I think it's gonna be hard for Paul Hughes to win if he doesn't get him out of there. I'd like Paul Hughes to win though.
Same here, man.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going with Usman in that one.
Yep, I feel like Usman will win too, but it would be a treat to see Paul Hughes actually win that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and get on my favorite stream website, and definitely check that out. It's definitely ESPN Plus. Uh, but yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Obviously, this has been great just to talk to these guys. UFC Free 20 should be an absolute banger tomorrow. I cannot wait. Uh, my favorite fight on this card is probably Yuri and Khalil Roundtree Jr., honestly. But Daniel Santos and Zombie Jr. should be fun as well. So, do you guys have anything to say before we go ahead and cut it here?
Not nothing much for me. Just I know there's not a lot of not a ton of betting opportunities there. So just enjoy the fights. It should be a really fun fight of or night of fights. So yeah, just enjoy it. Have some drinks with your buddies and just chill out for the night.
Yeah, man. I think this is a really good card. Probably one of the best ones we got in a couple months, honestly. So I just say go out, enjoy it, and then enjoy these fights.
All right. Well, with that being said, folks, this is the MMA Mark, TMZ, and TMA signing off. We will see you for the next card breakdown. Thanks for joining us.